This is the latest movie from John Crowley, who a few years back made one called Brooklyn, with Saoirse Ronan, and I enjoyed that one quite a bit actually. And since this is based on a Pulitzer Prize winning novel, I figured the writing is probably gonna be decent too. Which it is, but I'm not sure if the adaptation really translated that well. Because at the end of the day, this just ended up being sorta okay. I enjoyed it, I had no major issues with it, but I didn't find it to be that great either. But anyway, the story here follows this young boy who loses his mother in what we'll call a bit of a tragedy, an event that sorta triggers the whole story. It sets it all in motion and we then follow the kid's story up until adulthood. The movie basically jumps back and forth between boyhood and adulthood. So you get to catch up on what led to his current situation as an adult, which also isn't ideal. In fact, his life seems to be rather tragic in general. But it isn't without the occasional glimpses of happiness too. And I don't know how much I want to get into details here, but the Goldfinch is actually a painting, and it ties into the whole story at crucial points. However, I did expect that storyline to be a bit more important, because for the majority of the movie it's basically irrelevant. It's always there, it's sort of referenced, and it is important in a way. But it doesn't really affect the main story in any significant way, for the most part. However, then in the last 30 minutes or so, it's suddenly all about the painting. The movie also picks up the pace and starts to move a lot faster. And I'd say the overall tone changes a bit too, and it becomes almost melodramatic. It, heads down a path I didn't really feel fit the rest of the movie. And yeah, I didn't love some of the stuff in that later part. It didn't feel very elegant. And I would say it felt sort of forced, to be honest. It suddenly got very plot heavy, which was a bit jarring because up until that point it was more character driven than anything. There was sort of a general plot going on, a through line if you will. But a lot of the scenes were just more like character building moments. That also slowly built up the general plot and the framework for the story. But then toward the end it just seemed to rush to the finish line, and that was definitely the weakest part of this. But overall I did like it, I found it to be enjoyable and a decent story. With that being said, there are a lot more interesting things going on in this than the painting. That part did very little for me, and the rest of the story was just so much more interesting. But from a technical perspective, this is absolutely a well-made movie too. And I mean, when Roger Deakins handles the cinematography, you know that aspect is gonna be solid. I would also say that there were some decent performances. However, I wouldn't say I was blown away by any of them. They all just did a good job, but this one just didn't bring any standout performances. But I will mention that I was a bit surprised to see Sarah Paulson in a role like this. As a bit of a Las Vegas vixen type, because she usually plays more like dry lawyer types or whatnot. However, she too did a good job, but I've seen her do better as well. But overall, I didn't really have that many issues with this. It was mostly the end part that just felt a bit sloppy and rushed. But other than that, it's just a decent movie, but nothing remarkable. So how about it? Would I recommend this? Well, I wouldn't call it a must-see, but sure. So maybe give this one a look. Or don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you, and thanks for watching.